According to the latest government figures, thousands of buildings, including some schools and hospitals, are now being checked following the Grenfell Tower disaster. Camden Council in North London has defended its decision to evacuate 4 tower blocks at extremely short notice, moving hundreds of people into emergency accommodation. Our correspondent Richard Lister reports.
Why was we all ordered to be evacuated at 8:30 at night?
Tempers were running high today. The leader of Camden Council took the brunt of the frustration from people evacuated overnight.
I'm being told they can't rehouse me because I've got a dog.
A hotel place was found for this woman and her dog, but there are thousands of others, people and pets, facing weeks of uncertainty. More than 100 spent the night at this leisure centre. The cladding at 4 of these blocks is similar to that on Grenfell Tower, but it was issues with gas pipes and fire doors that made the fire service demand an evacuation.
They said that there was nothing that we could do to guarantee resident safety that night. And in that situation, given the circumstances we're in, I thought we had to act swiftly.
Peter Bertram, who's 94, had to leave the flat he's had for almost 50 years.
I felt sorry for people though, they were a lot worse than me, especially with children too, isn't it? But they've just got to carry on.
But there are at least 80 flats where residents are refusing to leave.
I really cried last night. The council officials came to the door, banging on the door, get out, get out. But the chap round the hallway said, no, she's not going. She's getting on for 80, she can't go anywhere, she's got a cat.
Work is underway to fix the faults, but it will take weeks to complete. The residents of this tower block feel themselves to be in limbo, unsure of just how dangerous this building is and how long they might be excluded from their homes.
Now, in some cases, it's possible to take mitigating action, and the fire service are content that the blocks are safe. In others, it's been necessary for people to move out on a temporary basis, and that's what happened in Camden last night.
Most living in these blocks have been back to get enough for an extended stay somewhere else, even as other residents argue there's no need to leave. Richard Lister, BBC News.
Well, local authorities across the UK are working urgently to identify other buildings at risk. Fire safety officers are carrying out their inspections with suspect cladding sent for independent testing. The government's promised to meet the costs, but some councils are warning they need more help, as Duncan Kennedy now reports.
No amount of days that pass can ease the hurt of loss felt by those left bereft by the Grenfell fire. In silence and in unity, volunteers and families of some of those who died gathered today near the tower to reflect. Not since the Second World War have so many buildings been subject to checks in the aftermath of a single fire. 27 blocks have now failed safety inspections across 15 councils. Birmingham says the government must help pay for it.
Retrofitting of sprinklers should be one of our responses here, and when your chief fire officer of your region tells you that, clearly as a leader of a city you've got to start listening to that. So we started to look at the figures, and it comes out at around about £31 million.
Manchester, Plymouth, Hounslow and Portsmouth and many others are also facing huge bills. The government insists it will help on a case-by-case basis.
If they need financial support, because not all of them will need it, but if they need financial support, we will work with them to make sure they have the resources that they need to do this necessary work. Absolutely. That will not be put at risk.
The Grenfell fire was reflected today at Glastonbury, where Jeremy Corbyn appeared on the pyramid stage, pressing for what he calls a national government response.
Is it right that so many people are frightened of where they live at the moment, having seen the horrors of what happened in Grenfell Tower?
Away from the crowds in West London, the fire continues to draw people to reflect on the disaster and the difficulties being felt. And what all this means is that in the 10 days since Grenfell, the lives of literally thousands and thousands of people have been affected. And with more testing on cladding, fire doors, pipes and other buildings still to come, those numbers will almost certainly increase. As those checks continue, resources everywhere are being put under huge pressure. The one capacity there's no shortage of is sympathy. Duncan Kennedy, BBC News, West London.